So welcome back to On the Record. We're here, as we have been all week, at the CompTIA Breakaway, and we're with Mr. CompTIA Breakaway himself, the President and CEO of CompTIA, Todd Thibodeaux. Todd, as always, great to see you, great to have you around, and looking for some good insights. Let's start off. You did something that our whole industry has been saying that would never work, and you decided to buck the standards and do it yourself. So you stopped with the hosting of the VARs, and I know the reasons that people wanted to stop it is, one, it's expensive. Two, it's unfair to, a lot of people say it's unfair to the ones who don't get invited. And three, the same people tend to get invited and come out over and over again. The bad part about it is you'll never get enough VARs. Like, not a chance in the world you'll get enough VARs to grow a show, or so they say.
Right.
True or not true?
Well, the major reason for us is that associations are not allowed to provide a benefit to one member or one class of members that they're not going to provide to everybody within that class. So we actually probably should have never been hosting from a legal perspective. But from a business perspective, the dollars that we were able to take that we were hosting and drive them into programming like we did with healthcare IT, using and promoting what we're doing through our partners, really allowed us to build a great message, a great vibe, and we didn't have a lot of problems. We had our pre-registration for resellers and for overall was the highest ever. Without hosting. So I think we had pre-registration of more than 500 resellers. So we didn't find it to be that much of a challenge.
Unbelievable. Of course, now I guess that's going to set the new industry standard. And I think that's really good. Unfortunately, your competitors get to do the same thing. But
I think there were lots of people, asking, wondering how we were doing with it, because I think a lot of people want to go the same route. And so we made, if you're a CompTIA member, the registration fee was waived, but you were paying for your hotel, so we found an affordable property. Airfare people were paying for. So the outlay, I think, the proof will be in the pudding next year, so that people find that it was worth it. It was last year. We had a ton of first-time attendees in Las Vegas. So outside of our hosted program, we still had a lot of other resellers that came.
Congratulations on that. So that it's a great thing. The other thing, before we get into really the event itself, from the charitable foundation side, during the recession, how come CompTIA didn't drop that or lower, but instead you actually did more, from what I understand?
Yeah, I think we tried to utilize the resources of not just the foundation, but of CompTIA itself. So in my opening speech on Tuesday, we talked about the grant we had given to a new school in the Chicago area. The dollars that came for that grant, which was $150,000, came from CompTIA itself on behalf of our foundation. The other thing is our foundation relies almost exclusively on in-kind donations, which continue to come in through our training partners. So we were able to continue to place a high number of people in seats to get trained for a certified IT career.
And what are the numbers roughly? Do you know them offhand? I know you've had explosive growth in that area since you've taken over. And when I say you've taken over, as not running the charity, but running CompTIA.
Yeah, our membership has roughly doubled since the third quarter of last year. Through the first half of this year, we've added a net new 756 members, I believe. A lot of new vendors, a lot of which are on the floor here. A lot of solution providers that we've gotten through our partners, through events that we attended in the spring. I think the one thing that really put us on the map and started to have people pay attention more to us was the acquisition of MSP partners. So we can trace a lot of our uptick in terms of our awareness, and some of the things that really started to click was after that happened.
Yeah, that was a similar story to a lot of others, where when they started out and they, owned by Level Platform, an association for the industry, everybody thought that was going to fall flat. And again, it's everybody always wants everything. Everybody talks about change. They always want everything to stay the same, though. And it's interesting because you as a company, like you as CompTIA, have been making a lot of changes that people said wouldn't work. They did a lot of changes that everybody said wouldn't work. And you know what? I'd like to, now that you see the results and you can actually say, okay, did it work or didn't it? In both cases, they definitely have.
Yeah, since the acquisition, we've converted a little over 450 of the MSP partner members to full CompTIA members against a goal of 800. So we're well on our way to hitting that number, I think. We continue to have new people come into the program. We've launched new programming. And what we're finding is that a lot of the stuff that we're doing here in the U.S. is going to start to have some applicability outside the U.S. I visited the U.K. a couple weeks ago, and managed services is taking hold in full spirit in the U.K. in the same way it has in Australia. So we do have membership bases outside the U.S., and we want to be able to serve those groups to the same extent we can serve them here.
And actually, while I was here at the show, I met somebody, sorry, I don't remember his name, but he runs a 400 company type of an association, and he's trying to do some work with you guys too, isn't he?
Was it Robert French?
UK?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a group in the UK called the Technology Channels Association.
That's right.
And we're working to partner with them to bring the same benefits that we can. One of the interesting things about the UK market for us is our vendor participation was probably higher in the UK than it was in the US. Probably not so much over the last 9 or 10 months, but in prior years. We were dealing with Dell at a very high level, Cisco and Intel, Ricoh, Epson, a lot of large vendors and OEMs in the UK market. But this association with them and partnership kind of positions us as the center point of the technology channel in the UK.
Wow, congratulations. So, I mean, you've been with CompTIA for a little over 2 years, and you're pretty much changing the whole, like CompTIA was at that time, and I'm sorry if I'm not saying it really well, but it was getting stale. That's probably about the easiest, nicest way I can put it. Since then, I mean, you can't, well, I know I probably get about, it feels like 300 press releases a week from you, and you sit there and you go as a media, being with the media, you look at it and you go, well, why are they sending me so much? But each one of them is about something that's really, like, it's not like you're sending me fluff, like, we just wanted to let you know that we moved Todd's desk over by 3 inches. They're like real things that you're doing and accomplishing. How are you doing that? Like, I mean, you didn't even come from our industry, right? I mean, we should be pushing you out and saying, hey, come on, you can't do all these things. And I know you're going to tell me, well, okay, you got a good team and you got this and you got all that. What is it that you're doing that's making this work so well?
It's reaching out to people and getting them involved, because the staff don't do the work. We're there to facilitate the process, and things really change in turn when you get the volunteers from the industry involved. So having the 6 communities that we have meeting here, our annual member meeting that we had this year in April, where we got 250 of our members to, again, pay out of their own pocket to come to Chicago just for a meeting, first ever annual member meeting for the association. And I think that was when it really told us that we had a good model going. Some of the people in the organization don't need to know a tremendous amount of depth and detail about the industry that they're working in. What they need to be able to do is engage and motivate volunteers. Because you guys are the members are the ones in the trenches. It's not us. So we can't get down there because we'll never stay ahead of you guys.
Yeah, well, now that you're mentioning it, I flew down to New York for a meeting with you guys to talk about the content for this event. Mm-hmm. And nobody said to me, well, gee, we're going to host you, or however you want to word it. They didn't say, here's a check to come down here or give us your expenses. We came down there because, obviously, like everybody else, we think the stuff that's going on here is really important to the industry. And so, if it's important and you believe in it and you're part of the industry, you're either a fool or you get involved.
Well, I think one of the first groups that really latched on to the new CompTIA was the media, and yourself included, because at the first Breakaway we had 9 or 11 media sponsors, and the coverage that we got from that was fantastic, because up to that point we had done very little. When I was in the process of going through the search for this position, I did searches on CompTIA, and I found nothing but things about A+ and Security+. I found almost nothing about what the organization was doing. And if you do that today, you get a completely different message. And so we want people to know what the volunteers are doing, what they're accomplishing, because for them, that's why they're doing it. They want to be achieving something.
Okay, so I have an audience of about 160,000 people who this is going to go out to. So let's forget about the 1 or 2 or 5 or even 10% if we're really lucky who are members. For the other ones, why get involved?
Well, it depends on where you are in your business life cycle. If you're just getting started, we have a whole raft of benefits that help you with legal templates, SLAs, HR templates that you can use to get your business going, a place to network with people that can give you some best practices. So we have a good ready reference library. And for $250 a year, you can take advantage of as many of the benefits as you want. Any number of people within your company can take advantage of it. So if you have 5 employees or 2 employees, for the cost of $125 a year per employee, even in a 2-person company, you're getting way more than that back in value. If you're a company who's a little bit more established and you want to start to share experiences, the networking becomes a little bit more important. Maybe the research starts to become a little more important. As you get a little farther along, maybe the public advocacy starts to become more important. So we have a whole slate and range of benefits depending on what vertical and business models you're in, but then also what size you are. So that was one of the things we really had to establish.
So, taking that one step further, I just saw because I've been stuck here all day, but I did see the healthcare booklet that you guys put together and the program of what you've done, which is, from a quick look, amazing. Like, I mean, it actually gives people a VAR where everybody's saying, okay, the stimulus programs, go after them, go get them, and all this talk. Well, for the average VAR, they don't know who to talk to, how to go about it, where to even, like, so many VARs I've spoken to, they're saying to me, I don't know how to get these. Like, how do you find out about it? And it's not like you can phone up the government and say, hey, I'm an IT guy. Can you tell me how I go about getting tons of money from you? Because, I mean, it just doesn't exist.
Right.
Are you planning on doing a lot more of that type of stuff?
Well, I think we'll probably do some things around how to get on the GSA schedule
at
the federal level, because that's still a really black box kind of thing to people. They don't understand how it works, how to take advantage. We're doing some things at the legislative arena. One of the interesting things we've learned recently is that companies, small businesses applying for government contracting, there's a significant amount of fraud going on in the U.S. and some cases that we've heard of where they've gone out and tested a market. As much as 50% of the people receiving small business preference in government contracting are not actually small businesses. So we want to do some things that qualify the small business bona fides of some of our members, and then allow them to maybe get preference in government contracting as real small businesses. So the government contracting, healthcare IT, I think green IT down the road will include a whole nother labyrinth of regulations and requirements. So wherever there's a vacuum of knowledge, we want to fill it in with information.
Are you going to be doing something similar? So you've taken care of one of the 3 stimulus programs. Are you going to be doing something in the local government and local and state government and in K-12 education?
We're very active in the K-12 space, and I think our foundation will probably carry a lot of those activities in trying to bridge digital divides. There's some money out there for broadband literacy that our foundation is working towards. The other piece of the stimulus, the broadband, the healthcare, some of the infrastructure spending, some of that stuff has really been stalled, and they end up giving some of it to the states in block grants, and they're spending it on all kinds of different things. So the concentrations of some of the money have diffused a little bit, and the dollars are going to be running out from that stimulus, whether we get another one or not. But the government's still going to be spending a lot in the U.S. for the foreseeable future. And we want to just point people in the direction to take advantage of that. But it pops up in all kinds of spaces. The next space that it's going to really be impacting is cybersecurity. That's going to be a huge area in the U.S. with potentially some very interesting new regulations coming along.